This is a brand new Alfa Romeo. Not the sort of thing that we can say very often, but look, here we are. Truth be told, Alfa Romeo have been struggling a little bit recently. I mean, we did like the Saloon Giulia, we did like that suave Stelvio SUV, but you lot weren't bothered, were you? You were going out buying your Mercedes and your BMWs and your Audis. Meanwhile, Alfa Romeo have hardly shifted enough cars recently, but they're hoping this is going to be the car to turn it all around. This is the brand new Alfa Romeo Tonale. It's not toenail, stop it. It's not. It's definitely pronounced Tonale. And this is going to be battling other crossovers like the BMW X1 or like the Audi Q3. But the question is, has it got what it takes?
On the design front, we think it does. Now, it's not easy to craft a beautiful Alfa Romeo in the mould of an SUV, but they've had a fair crack at it. Just look at that smooth body shape and those angry headlights. You wouldn't want to mess with the toenail. Tonale. I'll get it eventually.
Okay, at the front you have the very typical Alfa Romeo triangular snout, these very aggressive vent cutouts. Down the sides, you've got these really gorgeous horseshoe designed wheels. Now down the side, things calm down a little bit. They get a bit simpler. It's smooth, it's sleek. I do like the design of these rear windows because it kind of slopes down and then slopes up again towards the nice pert bum. It's a very elegant looking SUV, isn't it? I think that's helped by the integrated exhaust tips and then this very snazzy rear light bar.
But Alfas have always been pretty. Okay, we'll ignore the 166 and the 75 for now, but you get my point. The Tonale needs to do a lot more than just look good. It needs to actually be good.
Honestly, this is where things start to become a little bit worrying, because underneath all the swoops and curves and all-round sexiness, this car is based on the Jeep Renegade. Now, while the Jeep Renegade is a very competent little scamp while it's off-road, it's not exactly the sharpest or most refined drive while it's on the tarmac, and that is where this Tonale needs to excel. But fear not, because Alfa Romeo have thoroughly reworked the platform, and they've also made a promise that this Tonale will have the most direct steering in its class. Oh, and the engines are quite fruity too.
Well, the range-topping ones are anyway. The entry-level car is a 1.5-litre turbo hybrid with a piddling 128 brake horsepower, or there's a 158 brake horsepower version with a variable geometry turbo for a little bit more punch. Both options allow the Tonale to creep around at low speeds on electric power alone.
But Alfa isn't just about creeping around. Listen up, fellow horsepower lovers, because there's going to be a plug-in hybrid version, and that has 271 brake horsepower. That's hot hatch power right there. And also, the FEV is going to be four-wheel drive because the electric motor drives the rear wheels. Chunky, yes, it's 1.9 tonnes, but a 0 to 62 time of 6.2 seconds is not too shabby. Plus, it will do 37 miles on electric power alone. That's considering that you remember to charge your 15.5 kilowatt hour battery. It takes about 2.5 hours on a 7.4 kilowatt wall box. Not too bad.
So far, things are looking quite good, aren't they? If you're still not convinced by the Jeep underpinnings, remember that the fine-handling Porsche Macan is based on a 14-year-old Audi Q5 platform. So don't underestimate the wizardry of good chassis engineers.
Now, this little nubbin right here is the key to the Tonale's driving experience. It is Alfa Romeo's DNA selector. So D for dynamic, N for natural, and A for advanced efficiency. Now, when you choose D for dynamic, what it does is it just sharpens up the throttle when you put your foot down on the floor. It gives a bit of meatiness to the steering, and it stiffens the adaptive dampers as well. Now, when you go over to advanced efficiency, what it does is prioritizes that smooth EV vibe, you know?
The interior itself is really quite stylish, and the gorgeous metal shift paddles and engine start button on the steering wheel get a big thumbs up from us. The 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster is pretty advanced as well, and the double bubble dashboard is a reminder of the beautiful Alfa Romeo GT Junior from the 70s. Oh.
And then you have this 10.25-inch touchscreen here in the middle, which houses Amazon Alexa, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And honestly, I've been playing around with it for a little while now, and there's not really much of a lag. It's all nice and crisp and clear. It's quite responsive as well. Oh, and also you can access fun little bits like changing the ambient lighting. Can I make it blue, please, to match my top? Lovely. Stunning. Actually, everything in here, the quality of the seats, the materials, the steering wheel, the digital dials, feels expensive, which is what you want, right? Oh, and down here, a little Italian flag by the gear shifter, which makes me crave a pizza. Speaking of gears, actually, the 2 conventional hybrids come with 7, and the plug-in hybrid comes with a 6-speed automatic.
Alfa has crammed lots of tech into the Tonale as well. There's a Harman Kardon stereo, level 2 autonomous driving with lane keeping and automatic braking, as well as a 360-degree camera. Boot space is fairly competitive too, at 500 litres. Not bad.
Now, the quality that I mentioned in the front does continue back here because it feels and looks lovely. And this is something that I don't normally mention, but I shoved my hand in the pocket in the rear seat and it's all like padded down there. And it feels really expensive. What a weird thing to say, but it's true. Expensive feeling pockets. Got a couple of sockets here for your phone, so that's nice and handy. I mean, look, I'm 5'6". My legroom's pretty good. Headroom's pretty good, and I know that the windows do slope like I mentioned earlier, but it doesn't feel enclosed back here at all. It feels quite decent actually. Now, the Tonale is probably going to cost from around 35 grand when orders open in April. But is this going to be the car that finally gets Alfa Romeo out of trouble? Only time will tell.